welcome to our first podcast episode.
First episode.
Who's Who. I got my boy Alex riding shotgun with me. This is the perfect definition of a day one. I think we've known each other since I can remember.
Yeah, kids.
Since kids, our parents grew up together and everything like that. So the mission of the podcast is to get into the mind of visionaries, entrepreneurs, business owners, people making a community, people making an impact in the community. And so we're excited for our first guest. Want to introduce him now. He is the owner of the studio. So he was very gracious and kind to let us in here and shoot our first episode. Tyler Copenhaver, how you doing, man?
Yep. Wonderful to be here. Guys, I'm so excited to be episode one.
Cool.
Like, you guys have such great energy, too. Yeah. It's like, I've been doing this for a little bit now, and, like, consistency is key. You got to stay with it. Sure. I can't really help you with that part, but attitude is B, right? Okay. And so, like, key component, and you guys have incredible vibes. So
thank you.
Excited to see where you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Likewise. So we want to get into it. We want to obviously get some wisdom from you. We want to get to know you a little bit as well. I can jump it off with the first question. Yeah. We do have some questions for you.
Sure.
So just kind of like your origins, upbringing, kind of take us back. Where did you grow up? What kind of kid were you?
Gosh. Okay.
Yeah, all the way back.
We're gonna go there already.
Starting with a bang.
You know, like, it's funny because you go through journeys in life, and up until I would say about 6 years ago, I was a severely private person. And even women that I would date for like 6 years, you're probably going to find out more in this podcast about me than they would in 6 years of dating me. Because now I've, through a series of events, longer than we have time for in a podcast, like, I've kind of like changed the way I think about the world. And I kept wondering, is like, why is there nobody for me to look up to? You know, like somebody similar, like, to me that, like, I can, like, see that came from where I came from, and then, like, became an entrepreneur and had all these bigger dreams. And so it's like, I was raised, you know, like, my dad was in prison for 15 years. And so I was raised by a mother that was on welfare, who was an alcoholic. And I had my first full-time job at 13 years old, and I didn't want much to do with the school stuff back then.
Yeah.
Because school just kind of got in the way of work, right? It's like, I wanted money, you know, I wanted clothes, I wanted to be able to pay for food, you know, that sort of stuff. And so, like, really, I took a focus, you know, away from school and more on that, right? And so really, like, I guess this is an important part that I'm way more open about now, too. It's like, people had written me off in my youth. I wasn't a horrible kid, but I was a poor kid, you know, with a dad in prison, you know, and, like, I smelled like cigarettes because my mom smoked. I've still never had a cigarette in my entire life. So I was labeled a bad kid. If something would go missing, then, like, I automatically did it because it had to be the poor kid, you know. It's like, so I got a lot of hard times from the principal, from teachers. I was told I was stupid. I was told I would never amount to anything. And that was kind of like, I don't know. I loved to work, you know, and then that's the one thing I'm proud of in my youth is I had a work ethic early on, but I was very defeated mentally. I would have never thought the me of yesterday would never believe the me of today is where he's at in every single way.
Wow. So before you ask the next question, I want to follow up on that.
Yeah.
What was the mindset that kind of, because it sounds like, you know, you were bullied. It sounds like you mentioned people wrote you off. Nobody believed in you. What's kind of the mindset that took you out of that? Like, you know, because a lot of people could grow up in that situation and just kind of give up and mail it in. But what kind of got you out of that?
Gosh, luck for one. And I'm so passionate about helping, like, youth because it's like, if you have nobody to give you guidance, you luck through it. That's the only way through it. It's like, nobody's telling you, like, don't do this, don't do that. You know, it's like, nobody, like, my dad's not around. My mom wasn't doing it. You know, it's like, so just luck got me through it somehow, right? Really luck. And we could all be a statistic very easily, right? It's like, my life almost went different directions so easily, you know? And so, like, I think luck got me through that phase. And then I wish, because I work with so many underdogs these days, and my passion is for the youth, and I want more underdogs making it, because underdogs making it, this is my hippie hypothesis for the world. You help people get to success that came from bad systems, and they change those systems, right?
Yeah.
If Elon Musk had grown up in the foster care system, would it look the way it does?
No, I wouldn't.
He'd hate it, right? And he'd go out there and fight it with all his mega billions and things like that. That's why you need more people coming from bad systems, because they care about them. And on top of that, they understand how to fix them because they came from them.
Yeah, they have
right?
that direct experience. Yeah.
So it's my blessing. Somebody told me, a friend of mine, he's like, your dad didn't do 15 years in prison because he did something wrong. He did it for you. And when I think about my place in life now, because immediately, there was a guy on the podcast the other day, one of the podcasts in here, and he goes up and talks to bullied kids, right? And he said they weren't even really listening to him until he got to the point where he talks about the intruder who stabbed him 7 times in the stomach, right?
Yeah.
Now they're listening, right?
Yeah.
The audience chimed up the second they heard my dad was in prison for 15 years,
Yeah.
right? It's like, coming from that automatically gives me, I had to start from nothing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I want to be, and that's why I've started talking about it more. I started from truly nothing. There's a back lot over there, I could walk you to it right now, that I lived in 15 years ago. No water, no electricity, into a trailer. My shop was next door over there. It was a lean-to bay. This is my first business. A lean-to bay and a dirt floor. And that's the way I started my first company. Anybody can do that. $4,000 is my savings. And it become a nationally known company. I had clients like the Rolling Stones, the WWE, the NFL. I could list them for a while. Anybody can do that.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's wild. That's pretty wild. Yeah. So then, so piggybacking off that, growing up, then what made you want to, or what steered you towards going in this direction of entrepreneurship? And I know I got to do this to get out of this situation, since you said that, you know, you didn't come from much, and there's a little bit of luck tied with that. And
that's kind of back to I tend to do that because everything is a story in life. But it's like, I wish I could bottle that one thing that was the transition. And I think it was just having little wins with fitness. I grew up a really skinny kid, it's like, and then I started putting on weight, it's like, because I was lifting hard and that sort of stuff. It's like having a little confidence through that. I dared at one point, I don't even know why to this day I walked into a college. Because I kid you not, I thought in my mind, I was stupid, right? It's like everybody
College
told me,
was stupid?
that, I didn't know, I didn't think I could go.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
I was all told my whole life I was stupid, and I believed it, and I didn't do well in high school, and so I still don't know why I braved going to college. And then I took my first couple classes, and I was like, you know what, I'm doing awesome. And then I turned, and this is maybe where it can help people, is I turned this point where it's like I was believing them, victim mentality, all these different things, and I went to this point and was like, fuck them. Yeah. What's the hardest degree you possibly have here? That's what went through my head. And the hardest degree I could think of was biochemistry. So I ended up getting a degree in biochemistry.
Wow.
And I would like to, I ended up liking it.
That's crazy.
I ended up liking it, but at first it was throwing a finger up at them.
Yeah.
Watch me do this.
It's like rebellion, essentially. Yeah.
And that's what got me through my first business too. It's like my first business was I was working full time. My dad had just gotten out of prison, so I was supporting the both of us on my work wages, and I was attending a program for biochemistry. And then I was ripping apart cars in my backyard, and I got in trouble by the city of Scottsdale for doing this. You can't strip paint off in the backyard of your house. And so then I would had this crazy, still stupid idea in a way. It's like, oh, I'm going to go move into a dirt lot with no water and no electricity in the place that I live. I have $4,000. That's all I have, and then I'm going to use a lean-to bay, and somehow I'm going to make that work, right?
Yeah.
And somehow it did. And I think the key component to the success in that business, because you do everything wrong in your first business, especially if nobody's there to tell you anything, right? Or help you figure it out. I made every single mistake you could possibly make, right? But I outworked them.
So how old were you when you first started that?
I think I was in my last semester of college, but I took a while to go to college because I was afraid of it.
Okay.
So I was right around 30-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang, that's awesome. Okay, so piggybacking off that, so was there, with your first business, or even before that, right? Was that always the goal, to be a business owner?
No.
No, it wasn't?
No. I honestly thought that business ownership was a different breed of human, right? I thought like you had to have like a rich uncle or something like that to be in business. I knew nothing about it. You know, like I said, I got in trouble with the city of Scottsdale. That was what forced me into it. And I was like, I figure like I'll do this. And I was so afraid of it. I never thought it was for me. I'm like, it's funny because, you know, all the big entrepreneurial influencers in the world will say, I knew my whole life I wanted to be a business person. You know, it's like, I didn't have that mentality. I had like, I needed to work. I need a job. I had worker mentality, right? Not like I could own this place someday, you know? And so like, it's just braving these little tiny steps and daring, and then like something pushes you into it. And then I realized, you know, it's like anybody can do this. And not only that, what I didn't realize is my whole life had built me to be amazing at it. Right? It's like, cause I'd worked so hard and I had so much of a chip. My life gave me absolutely everything I needed. You know, it gave me people that didn't believe in me. And so I was pissed off about that. You know, I worked as hard as anybody, you know, it's like I had a job as a valet when I was in college, and I valeted at 6 o'clock in the morning and went up and bartended at 2, and I bartended till 10. Did that every day, you know? And like, they didn't treat me very well at the country club. They treat you as less than, peon, right? The same way they treated me like when I was a kid. And it's like, I could have done it two ways, and I hope this is helpful for the audience too. I could have said, screw you, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna do this job like, you pay me barely, you know, I'm just gonna kind of lackadaisically do it. Now, instead I decided like, sir, I'm gonna get your car faster than anybody's ever fucking got your car. Watch me run it's at Phoenix Country Club. It's a huge parking lot, 120 degrees. I would sprint to get that car. I'd never seen anybody run for a valet car the way I did. And I would do that all day. You know, it's like, because in my mind, that was my revenge. And what I didn't realize, it was perfectly preparing me for business, right? In so many ways. Yeah. Like, number one, like knowing, and I used to keep a little guy on my desk because it would get hard, right? In business. Like, you want to go back to that, Tyler? Remember the way they treated you? You know, it's like, you want to stop working right now. You've had a 12-hour day. You want to go back to that? That was my first, you know, like, or remember when your teachers told you we were going to never amount to nothing? You know, it's like, you want them to be right, you know? So.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah.
And that's good to know too, for the audience at home, you know, that like, it doesn't matter like when life can change at any moment and at any age, you know, college, after college, people staying like going in between, like living at home and being on their own. Yeah. Some people don't leave the cities that they're from, you know, to really try to expand themselves and stuff of that nature. So to know that like someone like you that has all this, you know, that started from at 30 after college, you know. Yeah. So that's good for the people at home to know how to get to this realm of business and other aspects of life, you know.
I want more people to make it. You know what I mean? And like, I think that if more people make it that like come from things, then they change those things. You know, it's like if we had more people coming from nothing and going into the political system and the big billionaire business systems, things change. Right? It's like, so I think business, and that's like when I like surpassed, you know, that like mindset that like, fuck you, I'm going to get this degree. And it was more like, this is actually really cool stuff. Right. You know, it's like, I really wanted to help people with it, you know? And so then I realized at some point, I was originally tracking vet school or med school, and I wanted to just volunteer all over the world, you know? Yeah. It's a segue story, but there was a story I read about a girl that like basically she's building schools in Africa. Okay. And she wakes up one night and they're actually rebuilding what her and her friends had built the night before. And like they're over there, she realizes just playing volunteer. They're not any real help. Right. And so her like synopsis at the end of it was like, if you don't have a skill, stay at home and fundraise, because that's the way you can be helpful. Okay. And I was like, I don't want to stay at home and fundraise. I want to be there. I want to be traveling. I want to I want to help people. And so I'm like, medicine. That was like the thing. Yeah. But you know, through like business and, you know, all these different things, I realized business is the number one way to change the world.
Business. Yeah. You're directly solving problems.
You are. And like, I don't tell people do what you love in this world. Yeah. I tell them do what you hate. Okay. Open a business that solves that thing you hate.
Ah, that makes perfect sense.
Even this. Yeah. This is messaging. Right. We're having a conversation. How many conversations have you been inspired by? How many documentaries have you been inspired by, right? Yeah. How much horrible bullshit is there online right now, right? A lot. Like, I'm a biochemist. I'm an MBA. I've opened businesses. When I watch social media and I see stuff on fitness and I see stuff on business, 90% of it's harmful bullshit, is angled to just sell you something stupid. You know, it's like more good people need to be using this. And that's why we have Backlot Studios.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to touch on something that you mentioned early on. You talked about small wins. You talked about fitness.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm in the middle of a fitness journey. We talked about it off camera.
Yeah.
I'm in the 75 hard right now. I'm wrapping that up.
Yep.
This is a fitness guy.
Yeah.
He's done you bodybuilding in the past. He's bodybuilding. So what did fitness do for you, like growing up? Like, how did that change? Because I kind of want you to touch on it.
Yeah.
Because as I'm in the midst of what I'm going through right now, I'm seeing changes. So I kind of want you to talk about what that did for you.
My whole life, like, I don't know where I'd be without it. My favorite, this is going to sound awful, but my favorite thing is my body. And not for the reasons you would think. It's not because of the way I look in the mirror or anything like that. I love pushing it to things, like everything I love has to do with the physical ability. Not everything, but it's like everything it's like I trained in mixed martial arts for 20 years. It's like my brother and I belong to a medieval combat gym. It's like I love jiu-jitsu. I love kickboxing. I wake up every morning and I hit the bag and then I lift weights and, I used to work out 26 times a week. It's like I love fitness, and it's built this and this as much as this, right? And then, like, I have this phrase, and I really believe in it. I think the world needs more kind-hearted badasses.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have a really good heart. Like, I'm not afraid to say that. I'm proud of it, It's like, and I also have a really big body, It's like, and so, like more people, like big man here too, It's like more good people need to have this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
It's like, because I'm never outwardly being mean to anybody or anything.
Yeah.
But nobody pushes me around.
Yeah,
either.
nobody's
and
going
I'm
to
not
try
going to
you.
let anybody else get pushed around.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get in a fight with them. But it's very easy for me to bring down a situation because of my presence, right?
Yeah.
More kind-hearted badasses.
Yeah.
So people need to get in the gym that have good hearts.
Yeah.
There we go.
Agreed. Yeah, totally. You go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So with that, and then, so trying to go like in a timeline here. So like, when you found out, like after college, that that's what you wanted to do with that aspect of biochemistry, what I know you said there's not one event that happened, but is there something like after you realized that you got the biochem, what was your next step after that? Like what?
It was originally going to be like I soft applied to vet school.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, submit your documents, you'll make it, and then I was thinking about medical school, it's like, and I honestly, I opened the business kind of because I was pushed into it, but then I was like, also, I'm like, how am I going to pay for this? And so like, then the crazy idea back then was like, okay, I'm just going to run this thing for 2 years. Right. And I'm going to sell it, and that's going to fund, medical school, vet school, whatever. And so when I started the business, I was in my final semester of college.
Got you.
Okay.
Which was hard. Mark Zuckerberg, you didn't have to drop out. It's like, because try attending a biochemistry degree and being the only worker in your business, right? It's like, and then like I took a class of my final semester, and like they have bumper stickers that say honk if you pass PChem.
Yeah.
That was one of the final classes I had to pass while I was only worker in my business. It's like, and so like that was hard. Like everything else by default was easy, It's like, so like I think the original intention was to get back to medicine, and help the world, It's like, and then you spend so much time and so much heartache building something that I couldn't do it. I couldn't sell it at the time, It's like it took hold of me. It was so hard to do, but it grew. And then we ended up having multiple locations, and we got to do some really, really cool stuff. Rogan and Elon even mentioned my company on their podcast, Joe Rogan's podcast. So we're getting a lot of hype around it, and things like that, and just doing really, really cool stuff. And it was hard to give up.
Yeah,
and then
I can imagine.
Another series of events, I ended up selling it. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's interesting because I'm thinking about back to when I was in college. Like I wasn't thinking about starting a business at all. Like I was thinking about, I wasn't really thinking about tomorrow, to be completely honest with you. I was playing basketball. And when I graduated, I remember thinking to myself, like, I have no idea what I'm about to do next. Like, I remember feeling that, and I was like sad. I was like, dang, I really have no clue. But so it's kind of inspiring to hear, like, you know, different people like, oh man, I'm going into business. And you said you were kind of forced into it, but still, it's like, that's something that took some time for me to even consider.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. And, you know, like, I'll be the first, I've got nothing to sell you folks, you know, it's like, it's not for everybody. Like, everything I do right now in the way of business is pro bono. I've helped over 4,000 entrepreneurs now for free. I've helped them with LLCs. I've helped them with accounting issues. Like, I spent 4 years just doing pro bono consulting after I sold my company. And it's like, it's not for everybody, but the people it is for, like, it'll change your life.
Oh, yeah.
And it depends on what you want out of life, too.
Yeah.
The happiest people I know are not business owners.
Yeah.
The happiest people I know work a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
They're spending a lot of time with their family. They live for their family. They work to live.
Yeah.
Right? When you're an entrepreneur, you live to work.
Yeah.
It is not the destiny you should choose for happiness.
Yeah.
It is the destiny you should choose if you want to change something.
Yeah,
and that's
make
the
an
only
impact.
reason it's valuable.
Yeah.
Everybody else shows on the internet, the Ferrari and things like that. That's why you get into business. I can tell you, you get desensitized to turning that key on that Ferrari pretty quickly. Depending on how much you grew up with, the quicker you get desensitized to that key turn, right? My first truck was a really good experience, but for how long? Even me, you know, growing up with nothing and shitty cars my whole life. First time I had a truck, I smiled. You know, I loved it for a little while, and then I got desensitized to it.
Yeah.
There's no long-term value in that.
So don't start a business if you want to be happy.
Yeah.
That's why we wanted to talk to you to get that kind of perspective, because business and entrepreneurship online is glamorized in the way that you just pointed out. It's like, you know, the boats, the cars, the jets, all these things are like, you can start a business, but people don't know the actual amount of work that it is. You're not working that 9 to 5. You're working all day, every day. If you get a call in the middle of the night, my dad, he runs several group homes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I grew up watching him leaving in the middle of the night because there were problems at the group home. Clients, you know, and the employees couldn't handle it.
Yep.
So there was no set schedule.
Yep.
So I understand, and that's what I wanted to highlight, because business going into entrepreneurship is so glamorized, but people need to know the actual what it takes behind the scenes.
I think so much, and like, my content is not popular.
Okay.
You know, like, I will tell you all the horrible stuff. Well, I'll tell you the good stuff, but you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
The good stuff about the business is the ability to change anything you want in this world.
Okay.
Right? It's like, I spent, you know, it's like I sold my first company and a couple others. I spent 4 years doing nothing but helping people.
Yeah.
I funded a charity docuseries, you know, I got to do so much good for the world because I had started that business, you know. It's like, that's the real value in it that you finally, I think, learn. I'm actually surprised more people don't learn this. That's where I get really confused. But I think most of the time you're seeing the glamour side online. They're going to link you to something they're going to sell you for a funnel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you're the business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you the truth because I'm not trying to sell you anything.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want you to fail either. I don't want people to fail, and business isn't for everybody. And if you set it up like, hey, it's going to be money tomorrow, you're going to work your own hours, you know, like, it's going to be nothing but fun, you know, it's like you're setting them up for failure. That's the other reason I tell people all the time to make this example. You can't get your business idea from YouTube's 2025 best business ideas, right? Because you didn't choose that. There's one surefire way to succeed in business, and that's if you don't quit. You know how easy it is to quit something when the money doesn't come immediately and it wasn't your idea and there was no passion behind it and it wasn't something you hated that needed to solve? Now you use my solution, right? Go out there, find you something you hate, right? And then find a tool that's going to solve that problem. It is impossible to quit. And if you don't quit, you'll figure out a way to make it.
Yeah.
That is the key to success in business.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you want out of it too.
Yeah.
You know, so
then speaking about success in your business, you know, what are you finding to be successful for you right now? Like, especially having all of this, like the studios, and then like, what's the next step in your head of like what you feel like success is?
I'm wondering if I'll ever feel like it's there. You know, some people tell me that I have some success now. I don't. There's some, right? I'm obviously further along than I was 10 years ago. And it's interesting. I mentioned the principal that gave me such a hard time. It's like, the funny thing about life is it's always given me what I've needed. And the day I sounded the dotted line, I'm selling my first company. And I guess you could say maybe in that moment I became successful, you know, like maybe if you want to coin it that way. That man passed away the very same day. Like that was one of my driving forces for that business. And so like, I don't wish it on him, but life gave me that, right? And so like to me, success is now defined as, just like everybody else when I started my first business, it was probably a little bit more towards the money. Yeah. But now it's like, it's the change I'm going to make before I go, right? It's like, that's my whole focus. And so everything I do now is in some way, shape, or form related to that. 60% of all our business operations are pro bono. So with the microphones, we then use these cameras and we travel the world with these cameras for a docu-series. We're starting another one for age out foster kids. You know, it's like we use the camera for what I'll call content for good. I have 2 charity podcasts, one for bullied kids with my mixed martial arts training partner, and one for underdogs in business where I try to teach them, you know, the things that nobody taught me when I originally started, and hopefully make more underdog entrepreneurs out of them. You know, and so in Glaive, which is our small business tech company, which is my primary focus, we have a free facility that somebody can come into anytime they want here. We'll help them with an LLC. We'll help them with the tax issue. We'll help them with marketing. Any questions they want, they can sit in that desk for free, right, and get help. And then Glaive also then takes that help that we're giving, turns it into technology, and now we can help more people with it. So, yeah. So everything has a symbiotic nature to that. Now with Glaive, I plan on being a billionaire. Like it competes with a company that's now worth $10 billion. They raised $10 million to start. We're bootstrapping. Yeah. So that's the other thing that things like this studio do, is like the money that comes in from the studio, we use it to bootstrap the tech company, right? And so, and we want to make it $1 billion company because we think small business should be helped by those of us that are bootstrapping it from nothing, what the small essence of bootstrapping or business is, and not made by the corporate people coming top down thinking they know what you need.
Right, of course.
Right.
That was one of the things that got my interest the first time I talked to you, was how your businesses they kind of feed into each other. Yeah. In your role, obviously you have to make a lot of decisions. This is kind of like a spiritual question, if you will. What role does like intuition, like faith, or inner guidance, I guess, play into making decisions?
Gosh, that's tough. You know, like I make sure it's in alignment with who I want to be and where I want to go. Yeah. And then I put the energy in relation to that, towards that. Now it can be tough because in the short term, I only have so much bandwidth. Right. So it's like, what do I work on today? What do I push forward today? Right. Right. The hardest thing in business too is like who to trust as far as people, you know, who to bring on the team. Right. Because people can either help you go further or they can hold you back, you know? And so like some of my biggest decisions are made with people. Some of my biggest decisions are made with growth. We have a new opportunity every single day in each one of these companies. It's choosing which ones are going to be noise and which ones are going to be new initiatives. And so, if we're talking about like, how do I get the feeling towards that? I think it's what's going to make the most traction towards the most of my goals that's going to eventually make the most change.
Okay. Got you. Okay.
Gotcha. And then, so I know with the podcast studio, and I know you mentioned another one of your businesses, Glaive, but what other business ventures do you explore or run? And I know a lot of you say you do pro bono, so just so the people at home know as well, just in case maybe that you can help them with stuff, or if they have business questions as well. You know?
Yeah, appreciate that. So each business does quite a few different things. So for instance, with Backlot Studios owns AZ Pod Studio, which is a podcast specific studio. It also owns Business Radio X, which is more of an online version of podcasting. So it goes live. Backlot Studios itself houses these companies, right? As well as we then do larger production work. So we did the last 2 Offspring music videos. We did a commercial for Walmart. We'll do that sort of stuff in Backlot production stuff. We're working on a couple shorter films right now. We'll do a lot of media marketing and consulting around media and how to market it, you know, that sort of stuff. So with Glaive is specifically focused on helping people through the small business process on every single step, and then also educating, because I don't want people to just get an LLC. I want them to understand why they chose an LLC and what it is for, right? It's like I've helped $5 million company founders that still don't know why they have an LLC. Not on my watch, not our people.
Yeah.
You'll know why you're getting it. You'll know what other options there is. You'll know what your future is, with it. So I want people to educate while they're actually getting the tangible things they need for their business as well. And then from these businesses, obviously we have a lot of interesting people that come in here that ask for help. It's kind of like we have media people that come in here a lot, right? Like big time influencers, actors, musicians, that sort of stuff. So they started asking business questions, right? Which then I would help them with, and acting as a manager and for quite a few people. That sprung up the accounting firm that we have.
Okay.
So now we manage finances for mostly influencers, people involved with music, that sort of stuff. So so those are the three primary companies. I probably always forget something when we're talking about it, but yeah, those are the bulk of what keeps me busy these days.
Got you.
I could have used Glaive back in the day.
Yeah.
I could have.
Yeah.
Glaive is built because I could have used it too.
Right.
I started a media company probably about, I want to say 6 years ago. And when I started and I'm just getting LLCs and I had no idea really what it was.
Yeah.
I just saw some videos and like, oh, if you get LLC, you can get business funding and all these kinds of but I didn't know. So
nobody does, and that's the thing. It's like, and it's not directed towards the guy that has the rich dad.
Yeah.
It's directed towards the underdog, because the guy that has the really rich dad will go, hey, what do you think of
His
this
dad
business
will-
thing?
yeah.
And they'll be like, that's foolish.
Yeah.
And then like my underdogs will get derailed for months, And like I paid $1,000 for my first LLC. Right? Online. I didn't know what I was doing. I paid $1,000 for it. You walk the paperwork down, it costs $40. I help people all the time. I'm like, don't spend $1,000 online.
Right.
Yeah.
Walk in the door here. I will help you fill out the paperwork. And then you walk it down there. It costs $40. You pay me nothing. Right? It's like, the average business startup cost is $6,000. I don't want them paying $1,000 of that to let some scummy corporate, like online software as a service company, right?
Yeah.
It's like Glaive was actually developed because after I sold my first couple companies, I wanted a way to help people. I started doing pro bono consulting, and then I realized all the questions they had all the time. And so I started working on this book, and the book became 21 ways to start the roadmap to starting a business in 21 steps. It was everything my mind said I would have loved to know. And like, just give me a checklist, like how do I do it? What order do they need to go in and why? So I wrote this book, 21 Steps to Starting a Business. And under each thing that you need, I tell a story how I screwed it up. And then I tell you how to do it correctly, right? And so that book eventually became Glaive's business plan. So Glaive basically has a 21-step roadmap that helps you with every part of the business process.
Okay.
I've never launched the book. I'm still a little afraid of the book.
I was just about to ask that. Can I get this on Amazon? Or
And so I actually have a friend finally, like making me like kind of, it's probably going to be out in the next couple months. It's been done for 2 years. So I've just been struggling with actually releasing it.
What's the struggle? What's
you
back?
I go pretty candidly into it, my life and stuff like that. And I think my brothers aren't as vocal about, like our upbringing and stuff like that. And my brothers are like amazing. One brother's a PhD in AI technology. Other one's a software engineer. It's like when I gave them the book, they never gave me any feedback on it. So my assumption is they don't really like that I'm talking about this sort of stuff.
Got you.
They're not real comfortable with it yet. So,
yeah. What I'll say is, and then I'll let you go. When you share your vulnerabilities, people need to hear that because they're also going through things that they don't want to talk about. But when someone's brave enough to talk about it, it's like a testimony. It's like, oh, he is struggling with that. I'm struggling with the same thing. Yeah. So now it gives them that sense of, okay, they overcame it. They were able to do it. Now I can do it. So it gives people strength when you're able to share those things that I know that are, and in families, we all have issues within family or whatever the case may be. But it's definitely a strength.
I like to now be like, you can have it too billboard, right? And like, it's tough because I've always like faced this thing, like this humble concept, right? Like my favorite person in the world is this little old man in the corner of the world that's helping orphanages you never heard about until you read its obituary. He's just doing good without asking for anything in return. But as business owners, you eventually realize that's not efficient. And how many people could you actually help if you'll, and like even by telling your story, it's like, really, it's like there is not a person in the United States of America that can't have what I have, right? You can get to the gym, you know, it's like people ask me, it's actually kind of weird. They ask me to take pictures of me in the locker room. I can't believe I just admitted that on the podcast. They'll ask me while I'm brushing my teeth to take pictures of me in the locker. It's like, you can have exactly what I have. Just get up every morning and go to the gym. You know, I'm no special case to it. You know, it's like the business stuff. It's like, you can't save up $4,000, you know?
Right.
You maybe even have parents that you can sleep on their couch instead of living in a dirt lot. You know, it's like, you know, you can have anything that I've done in my life. I'm not like, and I'm no genius either. I just work hard, you know, so.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You go ahead.
Yeah. So segueing off that, so with the podcast too, or the pod studio, how do you market it in such a crowded space, you know? Like granted, there may not be, we found out about this just like looking it up too, you know, but some people may not know that, there's pod studios out there, but the spaces of the media may already know, you know? So how do you market that?
There is so many studios now, and they're popping up every single day. And I do it the same way I've always done it, right? It's like, so when I first started my first business, everybody's like, well, what was the secret, right? It's like, I tell people all the time, because they're like, what was the marketing hack or whatever? Like, where'd you spend the marketing budget? It's like, I didn't. The first 50 customers that came in my door would hug me on the way in, right? We had such a good relationship. I kid you not, they would walk through the door, they would hug me, right? They were dragging people in. I spent less than $1,000 a year on advertising.
Jeez.
So word of mouth was your main...
Word of mouth, and then like I did what people should do, and this is like, don't hire the marketing company. Don't hire the accounting company. This is the real frustration I have these days so when I first started helping business people, they were just like me. They just didn't know any better, right?
Yeah.
Now, you know what it is? When I look into a destroyed business, it's a bad consultant that just got paid $5,000 to like muck up your stuff. Right? It's like, I haven't ran across a decent P&L when I'm looking at a business in years. That's a problem, even when they have a CPA, right? Yeah. They're like, Tyler, how do you spot these things in so quickly? It's like, well, you know, like I had those problems and I finally had to buckle down and learn it all myself, you know? And so like, I have an MBA. When I have like in an MBA program, you're learning to be a CEO in a way, right? Or move up the corporate ladder or whatever, you know, and I got my MBA after I had success in business, right? It's like, they don't teach you to be the marketer. They don't teach you to be the finance guy. They teach you to manage these things, but you need to know something about it to manage it.
Right.
So stop saying like, I just don't know how to do it. Pick up ChatGPT, pick up a book, pick up YouTube, learn a little bit about it so at least you can manage it. Then you'll know if you're getting robbed or not.
Right.
But like one of our keys to success too, I teach it here. I teach a seminar called Sweat Marketing, you know? It's all the free stuff in the world that you can do that works actually better than anybody you can pay, you know, that you can do yourself, right, and market a company. Everything you guys have seen online, we didn't spend any money on that. You think I hire a marketing firm to do my marketing? No, I honestly, like I do the bare minimum, you know, these days. Okay. This is like, it's an important business to me, but it's not like it was in my first couple businesses, you know? Like, I'm not trying to conquer the world with this one, you know? Like, I enjoy having this studio. I enjoy, like, I get to connect with incredible people. That's the biggest draw for me, you know? It's like, but really my focus is on Glaive, you know? It's like, but you start using, you know, YouTube and everything else and at least know how to manage these things. And that can be your marketing, right? Okay. You can get on this thing right now, and if you create a clever enough video, it's like, you know, there's a guy I've been seeing recently. He's like, my gym is failing, right? Like, this is me running and talking about my gym failing, and he's doing really well with his content, right? He's being, this is my first studio, you know, it's like, I like worked all summer for, you know, $6,000 to start. Tell them your story, you know, this is like, you can reach 1 million people with this.
Yeah, that content, man. And it's so interesting with content because everybody's so unique and has a different perspective that if you talk about essentially what's going on in your life, it can blow up. You know, because it's that uniqueness to you.
You know, it's interesting. So I do a lot of like rabbit hole research in a way. And so like one of the things I'm most fascinated by is empathy. So, and I'm a huge empath, which by the way, if you think it's a curse, it's not. You just have to use it.
You don't think it's a curse?
No. It would be a
That's
curse
interesting.
if you'd sit there with it, right? But here's the thing. It's like I watched a documentary on bullied kids, and it made me so sick to my stomach and hurt so bad that we ended up opening a podcast for it, right? It's like Arizona is the teen suicide capital of the country. You know, it's like, so become an actionable empath. Don't just sit there with the pain. Let it inspire you to do something, and then it's worth it, right? So empathy. You know, empathy is actually a superpower and a severe sign of intelligence, you know? And so, like, I started looking into empathy in relation to business. And lack of empathy was actually an incredible business trait, 1900s and less, right? It's like, because, you know, like right now, let's say there's a lot of podcast studios right now. I know a bunch of guys from the MMA gym. What if we just walk over there in the 1900s and say, hey, you're closing down shop, or you owe me 10% of that, or I'm going to hurt you, right? You could do that in the 1900s. You know, it's like lack of empathy, right? And also empathy is partially inherited. So what happens? You have a system where lack of empathy inspires success, and then success and transitional wealth gets handed down, plus lack of empathy, and you end up with the powers at the top being rich, right? And lacking empathy. So why am I so excited about this?
That's why I was surprised. I was like,
because it's changing.
Okay.
Because now we have this that holds people accountable in the world. We don't want to buy from horrible people anymore. Right? And empathy is actually going to be a trait. Your business has to mean something than being a business these days. You know, it's like we want to buy from Chewy, who you hear about all the stories where their dog passes away and they send them flowers. Like that is where empathy is actually going to change the world.
That's why I did not know they send people flowers.
What's that?
Either.
I didn't know they sent people flowers.
They do. If your dog passes away and they find out, they'll send you flowers. They'll like tell you to donate the food that just arrived to the animal shelter. They're an amazing company. And that's the people we want to hope for.
And Chewy
these
is
days.
everywhere too.
Yeah, they are. They're a huge company.
I did not know they sent flowers. That's wild.
That is why the world is going to change, in my opinion. It's going to get better instead of worse. Because now empathy will have a place in success. And successful people with empathy will then be at the tops of the systems. In my perfect world. This is just my harebrained hypothesis.
No, that makes sense, because a lot of stuff that's passed down in history is from lack of empathy.
Yeah.
People not understanding other people's plight. So now...
This is the first time in history that it's a trait of success.
Okay.
It's interesting. Side note, and like this kind of reminds me of this. Do you know why dogs are one of the most successful species on the planet?
Their ability to sense emotion.
Their adaptation was the adaptation of love. We love them. They love us. We've made them a successful species. The adaptation of love, how beautiful is that? Has made them successful. And I think empathy in the future for business is going to be a key component.
I'm glad you said that, because I guess I would consider myself an empath. And there were times where I was like, I wish I wasn't so. I literally would wish that I wasn't so empathetic in certain situations. But it's encouraging to hear that. I was talking to somebody about this too recently. Like, you know, being empathetic sucks. You know, because you kind of care about things that almost have nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
shouldn't care about.
You know, and like, I used to feel the same way, you know, and I spend a lot of time volunteering at the animal shelter and the children's home, and you see some awful stuff. And I was actually wondering this year why I was in a bit of a funk. You know, it was like, I was struggling this year a little bit, and I was like trying to reassess why. And then I realized for the last 2 Januaries, other than the 2 Januaries before this, I had spent at Cambodia at this place called Cambodian Children's Fund, filming a documentary on the most amazing man I've ever met in my life. And he's taken these kids out of a trash dump and put them into school, right? And so I would spend a month there, like learning about what these kids have gone through and seeing them happy regardless of having nothing. And it would refocus, so I'd come back and I knew what I was working for again. And I was like, why am I off this year? Like, because you get into this first world society that we have and you get beat down by like who's got a fancy car and what Instagram model and, you know, all this stuff. And like the world starts to feel pointless. And like you almost start to forget why you're working again, you know, it's like, and then like, I remembered, I'm like, you work to change things. And then life feels different.
We can relate to that too, because like I mentioned, our families are Nigerian. So
I've been.
You've been to Nigeria? Where'd you go?
What's the capital city?
Lagos?
Yep, I've been to Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been over there. So my father grew up in a village. We went to visit his childhood home when this was in 2017.
Yeah.
And kind of seeing how they were living, the people there,
Yeah.
and how much joy they had, regardless of what they didn't have, or you know what I mean, it was a culture shock, because I was like, oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
they don't even have iPhones over here. They don't have fully running water or electricity.
Anybody that's hateful in any single way, I want to buy them a ticket to different places.
Yes, so they can see. Yes, yeah. Because when you see that, you can't unsee it.
Yep.
You can't unsee that. Like for one. And by the way, they don't have the same opportunity. You can't just pull yourself up by your bootstraps in Nigeria. That's why it's a blessing to be in this country.
Exactly.
Because they don't get to just save up $4,000 and open a business.
Right.
Good luck getting a job over there.
Yeah.
But but the reason I think it cures hate is like, I'm walking around Nigeria, and these little kids have never seen anybody with hair on their arms before. I'm a pretty hairy guy.
Yeah.
And they're petting me like a cat,
That's hilarious.
I get off the plane in Chechnya, and this man runs up to me, like you could tell he's a Muslim man, and my security guards are freaking out. And I was like, let him go. And he comes up to me and hugs me and says, thank you for coming to my country. How can you have hate if the world is giving you those things, right? And I could give you way more scenarios, and being in these deep, dark places of the world, and like just seeing such compassion, and like kindness, out of complete strangers, completely different than me. You can't hate after those experiences.
No, you can't. The perspective shifts
Yeah,
completely.
a lot of times people got to see stuff so they can understand,
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
They don't see it, then they say crazy things about stuff they may not know.
Absolutely.
So,
That's why everybody needs to get out of this country and see it. Everybody needs
I
to go
agree
to a
with that.
place.
some
like,
people that don't leave they state.
I
the
agree
state
with
they're
that
from.
completely.
Everybody needs to go to a place like Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Everybody needs to go to a place like Cambodia, like experience the other side of the world, experience culture. And by the way, Nigerian people are some of the most friendly people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I remember this one guy, huge guy, he like found out I liked candy bars, right? And so he goes out, like I didn't realize how much hospitality was over there. He goes out and he buys every single type of candy bar you possibly could have, because he didn't know which one I like. That was the type of hospitality over there. Amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to hear about that. I kind of got off track, but so you mentioned Glaive. You mentioned some of the other businesses you got. I know you said podcasting wasn't super high on your radar, but obviously you love meeting new people. And you have 2 podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Is there a dream guest that you have? Like somebody like, man, I'd love to sit down with this person, have a conversation, pick their brain.
Gosh, this is what's amazing about podcasting. It's like my hero was a man named Scott Neeson. Michael Jordan, right?
Okay.
You ever heard of Scott Neeson?
Unfamiliar.
No.
I haven't heard of
My hero, I read a little article probably 15 years ago now. And I read this article about this guy that was a high school dropout, kind of similar to me, and then like starts running a projector in a movie house, and he works his way up to president of Fox Films. And he does X-Men, Titanic, all these mega blockbuster films. And he's getting poached by Sony Studios because he's so good at his job, right? And he's got the mansions, the Hollywood girlfriends. He's going to all the parties and everything. And he sees these kids dying in a trash dump in Cambodia. And he ends up selling everything he owns in life and moving over there to help them. And that is the man I got to meet from the docuseries. So that is the power of doing this stuff. And it's funny, I remember, and I think this will help anybody thinking about podcasting. I remember thinking to myself, and I turned down 4 reality shows in my first company, by the way. This is a long transition to doing this, right? And so I remember thinking, and I had already had the Bully podcast by then. I'd already gotten some reps, but I remember like I wasn't really supposed to be the host of the docuseries, and I'm like I'm like sick for a whole month going to Cambodia. I'm like to myself, I'm like, Tyler, you're not fucking Barbara Walters. Like, what are you doing? Go over to interview this man. And not only that, and I'm telling myself this, and you always got to choose the hardest one too. You choose the Hollywood guy that's used to all the big cameras and all this stuff. And you're going to go over there, you're going to interview them, him. And I was so afraid, so sick, and little did I know how much it would change my life. So
Scott
Scott Neeson.
Neeson.
And so he was my ideal person that I wanted to speak to. And part of our time over there, I got to sit with 2 hours with him in a podcast, just like we're doing now.
Yeah.
And him and I have become really close, actually, the last couple of years. And so I made a new close friend, too.
That's awesome.
And that's the power of this stuff.
Yeah.
So that was my dream guest, and I got to interview him already.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, he already got his dream guest. That's
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that guy up.
me too.
Yeah.
Used to be the president of Fox Studios.
Yeah. It's amazing, the story, and gives up absolutely everything he owns. And he, you go over there, okay, this guy's my Michael Jordan. You have expectations of him or whatever.
Right.
And you're like, oh, he's got to let me down, right? You
Yeah.
know, it can't nobody. I kid you not, I came back, I'm like, I've never met anybody like this. Guy's a saint.
So he's still in Cambodia
Oh
now?
yeah, he's still in Cambodia. I watched him like holding a woman's hand while she's passing away on concrete floor, crying and smiling at him because they're so close. He knows every single one of the kids by name, and they follow him around like the Pied Piper every night in these dirt streets.
That's wild.
He feeds the families. He puts the kids to school. He feeds the whole neighborhood, actually. Like, it's incredible what he's done. He's an amazing human being. And he will tell you, he's all dirty and stuff from being out in the lot. He's like, I'm the most blessed man alive.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Find what you love and let it kill you, he says, based on an old quote. I forget who said it.
Okay.
That's
That's
wild.
awesome.
Dang. So segueing from that, I would say then what's next for you? Like, what's the vision, or what do you have planned outside of the podcast studios? You know, I know you said, I guess the main was Glaive, the company.
Yeah. You know, like with the studios themselves, like I get to work on a lot of really cool shows, you know, and so like it allows me to be creative. We work with some incredible podcasts. We work with some top 1% podcasts too, doing advising and things like that. And so bringing more good messaging through the world to our podcasts, the ones that we have come in the studios and also the ones we produce. We're really excited. We're opening up way more into film production and the documentary series stuff. And so I'm super excited about that, being creative with that. I think the world gets changed through good messaging with the camera. So I love being involved with that stuff. But what you'll see like me transitioning to more and more the next couple of years especially is small business technology and like how Glaive is going to change things. We're in it like, I don't want to bore this podcast with a bunch of data, but like I spent 2 years just pulling data on what's going on with small business, and it's never been in a worse state of affairs. We're in trouble. And with that becomes the American dream, really. You know, like the middle class decline is actually the small business decline. We're declining at a point of 0.3% per year. And the decline, remember 2008? I don't know, you guys were a little younger.
I do.
Do you remember the
I
crash?
remember it.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
crash,
I
Do
do.
you remember how miserable that was?
Yeah,
Guess
I
what
do.
happened also in that year?
What?
That was the turning point when big business GDP took over small business GDP. And what's crazy is like I show people all this data and stuff and nobody listens, right? It's
Yeah.
like I'm this like crazy guy in downtown Phoenix telling you from a podcast studio,
Yeah.
and I'm literally like showing you that like if we don't fix this, it's going to be a problem,
Right.
Right? The opportunities and what's made this country amazing is the entrepreneur.
Right.
Right?
That's
and the
facts.
ability for the entrepreneur, like the small business part, and it was mostly built of small businesses, right? Think back to 1950. That was when you could have the single car household with one working parent, right?
Right.
That was the zenith of the GDP for small business. Right? That is the impact. And I could go off on like how big business displaces small business and what the economic impact is and all these different things. But you probably know it intuitively too, yet nobody
Yeah.
really pays attention to the fact that small business is dying. I want to save it.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to give more people the opportunity. You know, it's like I never set out, like I told you about having a target audience in the beginning of the podcast, right? Or maybe before we started tonight. You know, it's like I never really set out to do it with Glaive. I just wanted to help underdogs. But do you know who the number one underdog is in business?
Who?
Middle class?
The number one underdog.
I'll say working class.
It's a woman,
Okay.
and she's black.
Black woman. Yeah.
We didn't go out and target demographic black women, but who I help more so than anybody else in our place, black women. And so if that's the biggest underdog in business and they're coming in here for help, then we're already starting to succeed.
It's
Glaive.
good to know.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So, just kind of, I guess, We can wrap this up. I mean, I have, like you said, we could go on all day. Honestly, I'm definitely like, this was extremely insightful. 50 years from now, someone is describing you. What do you hope they say about you? And before you go, because it seems like for me, you've mentioned the underdog. You've mentioned making an impact just from the time we've spent here.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the passion. What do you hope others say about you when you're gone?
Of some use.
Of use. Yeah, of some use.
The best thing you can be in life is of some use.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom says that. Be useful. Awesome. Of some use.
And then so like you said, sort of wrapping up too, like where can people tap in and support your work? Website or Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm super accessible through my Instagram. It's at Tyler Uriah. Same with my YouTube channel, same with my TikTok, all that sort of stuff. I have overcome the fear of, I'm still working on the fear of social media and everything else, honestly. But I use it, and I use it as a tool to connect with more people. We do free seminars here. They're 100% free. I teach one that's small business accounting. It takes 3 hours. I tell you a story, and you will know small business transactional accounting by the time you're done. We teach one called Sweat Marketing. Sweat Marketing is everything you can use for free to promote your business outside of hugging your clients on the way in. We teach A to Z podcasting. I want to teach very soon 21 steps to starting a business. And then my favorite one that I think is going to save a lot of businesses, actually I know it's going to because I've helped too many of them, is I have a plan that I've developed called, you guys are familiar with a business plan.
Yes.
Right?
Sure.
I've developed something I call a plan for business or assessing an opportunity.
Okay.
And what that is I know for a fact that a plumber is not going to sit down and write a 50-page business plan like I did for Glaive, right? They don't know how to do it. They don't have an MBA. They don't have all these things. So this is a fill-in-the-blank sheet. If it doesn't pencil out at the end, they have to restart it. Okay. And I want to say that it will increase your chances of success 1,000%. So I've got that worksheet done, and I would love to teach that class if people are interested. What I would say is if this stuff interests you, keep me motivated in wanting to do it, right? Like, and that means show up, right? So like, this is all free, like I set out to try to help a bunch of business people, it's like, so show up, it's like, I even feed you when we do the events, so there's no catch. I want you to know you can come into a place and like get good information of people that care. And, I think there's a lot of organizations that make a lot of money and raise a lot of money and they don't do near what we do for people. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's built by people that started companies from nothing.
Right.
Right? We understand firsthand what it's like to do that. Unless you've done that, you can't understand it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why when people come in here from big organizations where they're getting help, it's like they say, you made more sense in 40 minutes than they have in a year. It's like, yeah, because I've been there, And so like, yeah, connect with me, show up to the events, right? When we do something, show up. Cost you nothing, Join the community. I'm out here to build more kind-hearted badasses in the world and build my tribe. I feel like there's not enough people that get to success that want to do anything for anybody, right? So since I can't find enough of those people, I'll build them.
I love that.
So come on and down.
Show up. Show up to the event.
Yeah.
Show up to the events. All right, and last question for you. Any final words of wisdom for entrepreneurs, creatives, or visionaries, someone listening right now? Any words of wisdom, final words for them?
I mean, like, I wish people knew how much control they have over their life, right? It's like, at the end of the day, it's like we are all in different situations, right? And like some have more tools and some have less. And the only way you can even the playing field, and you really do, like nobody will argue with me that we have the same amount of hours in a day, right?
Can't.
But we're not all the same work ethic, right? And like, I actually think that underdogs are more equipped to be successful. They just got to turn this little thing in their head that says they can do it. And I took a long time to do that too, right? Make all the excuses. I don't have the rich dad. Nobody's going to help me and all these things. The second you turn it around and you're like, I can do this, you have severe control of this. And I would say the last thing is put everything in your life into alignment if you really want it. It's like, if you really want it, it's like, really want it. It's like, you think I watched TV for 5 years? Do you think I dated for 5 years? Do you think I did nothing but work and work out for 5 years because I wanted it? And that's how you can bridge the gap on things, but you have to want it. So I know it's such a cliche lesson. That's why I wanted to add more onto it, but you can have whatever you want. You know, you just got to go out there and get it and tell yourself you can do it and have the discipline to follow up on it.
There we go.
It's amazing. You got anything? You got anything else for him?
No, for the most part, that was pretty good, like well-rounded interview. You know.
Yeah, that was great. Honestly.
Yeah, we want to thank you for coming on to the first episode. You know.
Honored, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely honored. Yeah.
Enlightening the people, you know, telling them about the resources that you have, and that anyone can do this, just like us. Like we started this, we pretty much just said, let's just make the content at this point. You know, just gotta get the reps in, and we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to say one last thing before we sign off. This is episode 1.
Yeah.
If you guys do 200 episodes, everybody will know you. Right? That's all it takes.
Yeah.
You know, you control that. You know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be in a fancy studio every time, too.
Right.
You know, it's free to podcast at the end of the day. You know, you can do it on a microphone at home. However you do it, if you keep showing up, you get, and you guys have the energy for it, too.
Yeah.
You know, you have great vibe and energy. You can't feel that on the other side of the room. That's why it's easy to talk to you guys because I'm feeling your emotion at the same time, and you're getting me riled up and hyper about, like, helping people.
Yeah.
Right? So, thank you.
And likewise, too. I feel like I can run through a wall after this.
No, real motivation, man.
Yeah.
All right.
We appreciate it. We appreciate your time, and definitely looking forward to more episodes. Be on the lookout. We got to be consistent. And that's it. That's all we got.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
no
sir.
problem, man.
Really
That was
appreciate
amazing.
it. Oh, thank you.
Honestly.